Hare
Very
Krishna.
good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for such a wonderful welcome. And yeah, the topic we have is like very interesting, very common in this world, I would say. That's envy and false, um,
No
low
self.
self-esteem. Yeah. So envy and low self-esteem, both these are like most dangerous anartha, right? You might have heard like the six anarthas, like the biggest enemy inside us. This is Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Matsarya, no? Or lust, anger, greed, attachment, and then madness, and then envy. So these are the six biggest like enemy we have inside us. So in Satya Yuga, the war was between two lokas, Swarga Loka and this Bhuvar Loka. Now, then in Treta Yuga, the war became between two countries, Ayodhya and Lanka. And then in Dwapar Yuga, the war happened between two brothers. I mean, two cousins, two group of cousins. And then in Kali Yuga, the war is within. No, it's not about like the other person you're like seeing, or like now in Putin and Zelensky and then all these kind of things. It's not like that. The war is within. Srila Prabhupada says that there are like six big enemies, this Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Matsarya, inside, and then we are supposed to fight against them, fight against them. And then the real victory is when you win over yourself. So these kind of things, these kind of statements are like very, very common in practice of spirituality, that you have to win over yourself, you have to self-control and all this kind of thing. And I was always thinking like, what does it mean by self? What does it mean by self? In Sanskrit, the self is indicated by Atma. When we say Atma, means like self. So Atma can be body, Atma can be mind, Atma can be subtle body, or Atma can be ego also, and Atma can be Atma, the spirit soul. So but Atma means self. So most of the time when we say that, oh, self-control, me, and all these kind of words, it's like little confusing what exactly we are, what exactly we are. First we have to find out, what in what level we are talking about, whom we are talking about when we say self-control and all. So in the same way, we have to also find out where does this envy and low self-esteem and all these kind of things manifest inside us, and where does it come from? I mean, and why it's so dangerous, from the point of view of bhakti, why it is so dangerous, why it is so not entertained. I mean, not like considered like very appropriate. So first of all, the envy is the most powerful and most dangerous anartha inside us, among the six: Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. Well, the beginning is these three things, three doors to hell: lust, anger, and greed. These are the most. These are the pioneers of like. These are the anarthas which starts in us, like, for our downfall, for our like being being in the material world. This is the main three reasons, like three doors to hell. So lust means like, you have so much of desire, material desire. So this material desire, it comes from they come from the mind, the level of mind. So if we see our like structure inside, the first thing is, the soul, which is very, very pure, but little defect. The soul starts like misusing the minute independence. It started like misusing the minute independence. Okay, why would I want to serve Krishna? I would like to serve myself. So me first. Why always? Oh, let me get a break. Let me go for a vacation. I've been serving Krishna for so long, so I need break. So it happens in very commonly in our life. I've done so much of service, Prabhu, I need some break, So my mind says, like, I mean, my intelligence says, hey, how can we have break from like service? So I think we should have break from this material world, not from the service. So in that way, like our Atma, I mean, us as an Atma, we tend to like misuse our false ego, and then boom, we fall down to this material world where it's perfectly fine to have false ego is perfectly fine. And false ego also means like master mentality. So when the Atma comes to this world, what happens? The first thing is we need a covering. We need a perfect covering because Atma has nothing to do with this world. No, Atma has nothing to do with this world. Why? The constituents, the elements which Atma is made up of is three things, basically categorized in three things: Sat, Chid, Ananda. Right? It's Sat, Chid, Ananda. Now, if you see where this Sat, Chid, Ananda comes from, what is these elements? These are like elements which are like uh, so much available in spiritual world. It comes from uh, Sandhini Shakti, Sambit Shakti, and Ladini Shakti. No, from Sandhini Shakti comes Sat. Sat means Suddha Sattva. We can also call it Suddha Sattva. Then Chid means like lots of knowledge, full, complete knowledge. No, Chid, it comes from Samvit Shakti, and Ladini Shakti is the Ananda, basis of Ananda. Now, for Ladini Shakti, the representation is done by Radharani. Sambit Shakti is representations done by Balaram, and Sambit Shakti is done by Yogamaya. No, so these three energies constitute the Atma. Right now, Atma is also of two types. One which is making the spiritual body, and another which is like indicating the identity. So the Satchidananda Vigraha, which is like the body itself, we don't have that. That's a Swarup, and we don't have that in this material world. But what comes in with us is like that minute identity, the Atma, this Satchidananda, which is minute Atma, which is staying in the heart of a living entity, every living entity, right? So when this Atma, which is made up of three things, Satchidananda, comes to this material world, and it looks around and then doesn't find Satchidananda Vigraha. It doesn't find any kind of element which is Satchid Ananda. There is nothing called Satchid Ananda in this material world. So in this material world, what you find, what everything is made up of is three things again. Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. And then what are these Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun? Basically, these are like the lower quality of Suddha Sattva. Right? So this Chid potency, Suddha Sattva, this in a lower grade, lower quality, or lower amount, we can also say that. Let's say if Suddha Sattva is 100%, right? Then Sattvagun is something like my speculation, of course, like it's not the exact number, maybe something like 90% or 80%. And Rajagun is something like 10-12% of Suddha Sattva. And Tamagun means 0%, absence of Sattvagun. Right? So in this way, in this material world, there are like so much of like combination made from this Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun combined together and make so many different kinds of like varieties of like consciousness. And according to that, we get the body. So why I'm going so deep in this thing is because the Atma is covered by Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Now, when that Atma is covered by Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, that element is called false ego, ahankar. So false ego is the wrong identification. Like the true identification is we are soul, we are servant of Krishna. That's the true identification. But then the false identification is I am not the soul. I am this body, whatever I'm possessing, whatever form I am possessing. That's me, right? And then I don't have anything to do with Krishna. That's false ego. So the whole story starts with the ahankar. Now, ahankar mixed with sattvagun makes mind. The ahankar, again mixed with rajagun, makes intelligence and senses. Ahankar mixed with tamagun makes sense objects. So last time we were having youth program in Kathmandu, and one devotee very frankly asked, Prabhu, what is going on? Is it my karma, or like whenever I see woman, I'm not agitated, but when I see tall woman, specifically tall, slim and tall, I'm agitated. So he opened up, like, I mean, in front of 200-300 like youth, like he frankly spoke that. Of course, like he got like teased later on. Hey, a tall woman. Oh, there's a tall woman. I mean, are you attracted? They were like, I'm teasing him. But of course, like he was like very frankly, he was like admitting that there is a specific type of, among women also, being a man, I mean, that's very natural for you to get attracted to the opposite gender because that's your sense object. That's the design. But among sense object also, there is like particular, category, particular type which attracts you. So how is it possible? So if it is only gender which makes you attract to the opposite gender, if it is only that, then we are supposed to be attracted to any gender of any species. Like female dog. If I'm a man, I'm supposed to be attracted to the female dog, which I'm never. Never. I mean, hardly happen. It happens. No, I'm attracted to the human female. And among the human female also, like I have certain, like, I mean, choice, what we call choice. So all this, like, what is this? What is this based on? This is based on karma. Now, according to karma, we have different like we get into different species, and among the human species, we have like 400,000 species. Among the 400,000 species, human being is categorized into 400 species based on consciousness, level of consciousness. And if we read Upadeshamrit, Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami gives us like basically different category of like consciousness, starting from Ugra Karma, very, very self-centered, like animalistic consciousness, a human being. Ugra Karmi is like the lowest. Then comes Karma Kandi, who extends like his family, me and my family, my place, my country. That's Karma Kandi. Then better than Karma Kandi is Karma Yogi. The Karma Yogi who does the activity and then renounce the result. Then better than Karma Yogi is Jnani. Jnana Yogi, or Jnani. So Jnani means like one who says, okay, if we are going to renounce the result, then what is the use of acting also? Better renounce the action also. So that's Jnani. And better than Jnani is Yogi, Dhyani Yogi. Right? And then Dhyani says, okay, we're going to renounce the result. Then action we are not going to do. Then why to even think about that? Think about anything. So meditation, silent meditation, nothing. That's where all this like Buddhism comes from. Right? And then better than Dhyani is now Bhakti Yogi. And among Bhaktas also, there's Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama. And better than Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama is Vaikunthavasi. Better than Vaikunthavasi is Ayodhyavasi, then Mathuravasi, then Govardhan, then finally the Radhakund. That's how he categorizes like the level of consciousness, human consciousness. And from another perspective also we can see like Brahma is 78%. Up to Brahma is 78%. Then Shiva is like 84%. Then Vishnu is 94%. Then Krishna is 100%. So in this way, we are all of like different categories based on our consciousness. And then based on our consciousness, we get our karma. And then based on our karma, we are attracted to certain things, which we call our sense objects. And among the senses, the mind is the boss. It's also called manasasthani indriyani. Means like mind is the sixth sense, which is the boss of the five senses. So this is how we are trapped in this material world. All right. Now, based on these things, we become lust anger and greed. Now, based on our karma, we start like experiencing like this lust, anger, and greed. Now, whole point of like getting educated in spirituality is to know this. First, we become aware. Now, there are like 4 stages. Uh, I don't know that I don't know. That's the lowest stage. It means I'm unaware. I'm ignorant. Means like I even don't know that I don't know so many things. That's the lowest stage. That's we call it ignorance. Then comes the stage of awareness. I know that I don't know. Now I'm aware that there are so many things which I don't know. I need to learn. That's awareness stage. Of course, like this is used widely in modern businesses and all, like how to get us buy their stuffs. They use it very widely, but we can use the same thing in Krishna consciousness also, because like in our life there are so many things. We are like minute living entity. We have like limited brain capacity. We have lots of limitations. On top of that, we have like lust, anger, greed, and so many anarthas. We are conditioned by so many things. I always give example that like lots of Nepalese, they go to America, they stay in USA. No matter how long they stay in USA, they can never think like a Native American. They are conditioned by the culture of Nepal. The Nepalese culture always influences them, and then they are always like seeing America through Nepalese eyes. So the same thing with like American. If they come to Nepal, they can never perceive Nepal as the Nepalese does, right? So for American, when you come to Nepal, you're a foreigner. For Nepali, when you go to America, you're a foreigner. So we are always conditioned, and sometimes this conditioning we cannot exclude. We cannot just distinguish ourselves. Away from this. So this lust, anger, and greed. These are the beginning things. Then if we are not careful with this lust, anger, and greed, lust is basically our desire, and desire comes from the mind. Like I said, when the mind is made, it's supposed to be in Sattvagun. That's the original stage of a living entity. Mind supposed to be in the Sattvagun. Intelligence supposed to be in the Rajagun, right? And senses also in Rajagun. And sense objects supposed to be in Tamagun, means sleeping. We don't have any interest in sense objects because it's in Tamagun, right? And then, but what happens? Now what is happening as we are living in this material world? We get degraded. Remember, in chapter 2, we said like, we fall into the material pool. Now, what does it mean by falling into the material pool? Because the intelligence, which is supposed to be in Rajagun, goes to the Tamagun. That's the first thing which happens. That's why in Shastra it's called Tamasa Buddhi. Now, Buddhi, intelligence, supposed to be in Rajasa Buddhi. It's supposed to be Rajasa. The intelligence is supposed to be very active, very, 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 very active. But then this Buddhi, intelligence, happens to be the servant of Tamagun, Tamasa Buddhi. Now, the basic, characteristics of Tamagun is sleep, laziness, procrastination. These are the few demerits of Tamagun. And now this is possessed by the intelligence. Now, intelligence is sleeping, it's lazy, and it's procrastinating. I'll do it later on. We have to make like very important decision. Should I become Krishna conscious or not? Then the intelligence says, let me decide it later on. No, ISKCON is nice. Wow, it's a beautiful temple. I like devotees. They look like very bright, but let me decide it later on. So this is what happens. Intelligence is there, but then it's procrastinating, it's lazy, it's sleeping. I don't have time, let me sleep more, I'm tired, And then mind's supposed to be in Sattvagun. Now, as soon as intelligence is sleeping, the mind from Sattvagun comes down to Rajagun, right? So as soon as mind comes to the Rajagun, the qualities of Rajagun influences the mind. So that's why Arjun said, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadritam. Now, if you see all these like 4 qualities, which Arjun talks about, chanchalam, restlessness, you know, chanchalam hi mana Krishna, pramati. Pramati means like obstinate. Sorry, mad. Pramati means mad, crazy. No, Balabhadridam is like obstinate, like Balban, and very, very obstinate. You know. So these are all the qualities of Rajagun. So mind supposed to be in Satagun now comes to the Rajagun, right? And then now it starts like making the whole, scene, whole. I mean, scenario is created by the mind. Now, Prabhupada always used this like a Bengali proverb. It says, Atmavan manyate jagat. Now, it's a sutra. I mean, like in Vedanta Sutra, it's also a sutra which says, Atmavan manyate jagat. Atmavan means the body which is possessed by the soul, Atmavan. Manyate, through the mind, jagat, sees the world. Right? So, when the living entity comes to this world, through the mind, we are supposed to see the world. Now, when the mind becomes Rajaguni, or sometimes even Tamaguni, we've finished. We've finished. We are always attached to this world. We are like identifying ourselves in this world. Whereas the mind's supposed to be the Sataguni. No, because that's the original state. That's and it's also said in Shastra in many places that when the mind becomes Sataguni, it starts chanting holy name. It realizes, wow, I'm like servant of Krishna. The mind realizes. It's the main thing is the mind because intelligence is naturally Krishna conscious. Naturally. Now intelligence listens to Atma, mind listens to false ego. So intelligence is like the only factor, only element given by Lord Shri Krishna without any reason for us to go back to Godhead. If this intelligence thing is like taken out from us, there's no chance we'll become nityavadda, means like we are always like entrapped in this material world. It's the only intelligence which is like now who is listening to the class? I'm speaking something and who is listening inside you? Is the intelligence. Mind says, come on man, he's bluffing. I need so much, oh, it's like late, he came late, I don't like him, these Nepalese stupid people. No, I'm just exaggerating. Well, that's how the mind thinks. But intelligence says, wow, I mean, so much of information. Cool. Wow, it's systematic. It sounds scientific. Great. Now I need to be careful. Wow. I mean, and I'm entrapped in this material world. How to come out of it? That's how the intelligence works. Right? And then the false ego. False ego says like, come on. I mean, this is all not like it's nonsense. Well, maybe you are like servant of Krishna, but it's not possible in this lifetime. Let's spare 4-5 lifetimes. Let's wait and then go slow. Okay. Even if you are wanting to go to Goloka, well, let's go slow. Let's be practical. Come on. So last time I was talking in one of the classes that opulence and bhakti doesn't go along together. No, opulence and bhakti doesn't go together. And then one devotee says, but Prabhuji, we need like lots of money to even do so many things, to go to Dham and then even to buy like kantimala or like kurta and dhoti. We need money, so we need to earn. Then I told him like then, but among the acharyas we have like Raghunath Das Goswami, so who left all the opulences for Krishna. And of course, like, yeah, we have to be practical. But if you want to go deep in Krishna consciousness, then opulence, we have to give it up. Give it up. I mean, even Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. I mean, of course, 6 Goswamis are our, ideal. So when we see them, they have given up so many things. But here in ISKCON, most of the times you can see devotees like who are working hard, trying to maintain their life, and then earn good amount of money. Let's be practical, like that, And then of course, like in Shastra, also like there are like so many places. Srila Prabhupada says that we have to give up so many things. Now being in Grihastha, we cannot like go back to Godhead. We have to reach to the level of Banaprastha. Now, Banaprastha means rather than depending on the relatives, ourselves, we depend on Krishna. That's the Banaprastha stays, So in Banaprastha, like we depend on Krishna, right? Rather than depending on dollars, rupees, and whatever, bank account, bitcoins, and we depend on Krishna. So that's the Banaprastha state. So, but then it doesn't happen, right? So this because of this Kam, Krodh, Lobh. No. Now, Kam, Krodh means when our desire is not fulfilled, we get anger. First we are supposed to do so many things in this world based on our desire, which comes from the mind. And when that is not fulfilled, then we become angry. And then when it is fulfilled, we start like accumulating because we know, oh, it's not free. It doesn't come all the time. Oh, I'm getting by chance, by luck, I'm getting it. Let me accumulate it. So that's how the greed comes. So when these three things happens, lust, anger, and greed, now when we accumulate enough, we develop attachment. It's very easy to give up things which we don't possess. When we don't possess. But it's very difficult to give up things which we possess. It's called Yukta Vairagya. So Yukta Vairagya is more difficult than Falgu Vairagya. Right? If I can declare, if someone needs money, I can give 1 crore rupees. $10 million I can give to anybody because I don't have it. No, I don't have $10 million. That's why it's very easy for me to declare that, okay, if anybody wants, I can distribute like anything. Why you're attached with your money, this and that. So, but if someone comes and asks my mobile phone, I says like, well, really? Why do you need it? Because I have only one, and I'm using in Krishna's service and this and that. I will make so many excuses. I'll tell you one story. When I was like a kid, teenage, so that time we had like one lesson from Lakshmi Prasad Devkota. He's the most famous poet in Nepal, and he the teacher was teaching about his poems, and the teacher was also talking about his life biography. And he was a very poor guy, so much poor that he didn't have much money to buy cigarettes. He was a chain smoker, and sometimes he will even like smoke the filter. It'll burn the filter and smoke because he didn't have money. So he was so like, not like, a person who is like not having money. But then one point, he was walking on the street, and then he saw one beggar shivering in the cold, like that, very shivering in the cold. And then the only jacket he had, he took it out and then put it on that beggar, and then just walked away. The only jacket he had in life. So then I thought, wow, what a renunciation. So when I grow up, I will also do the same. I had that in my mind. It's such a attractive nature, character of a person. So when I think that time I was in grade 10, and me and my friend, we were like walking. We were walking on the street, and then I saw the beggar, like who is like shivering, like in the story. Then I thought, wow, this is such a wonderful opportunity for me to give my jacket. So as I was going to take off my jacket, I looked at my jacket and it was new. It was new, good condition. Then then the thought came in my mind, if I give this jacket to this beggar, what will I tell my mom? She will be angry, It's just a new jacket. So I tried quite a few times to give that jacket to this beggar. I couldn't. So beside me was my friend, and his jacket was quite old, pretty old. So I said, hey, your jacket is pretty old. Why don't you give this jacket to the beggar? He said, no, why don't you give it to yourself? This is your idea. Don't bother me, So both of us, we couldn't give the jacket to the beggar. So then I realized, wow, anything you possess, good or bad, it's very difficult to give up. Believe me, not only like good habits, even bad habits are difficult to give away, So we are so much attached because the fourth stage is like attachment. We are so much attached, right? And then comes the madness when we have so much abundant, we have like so much of like opulence, we become mad, we go crazy. No, we want to spend in so many things like chocolates, vacations, and we even want to go to Mars, or moon, for I don't know what reason. Elon Musk, he has a dream. I mean, to go to Mars. I don't know why. I mean, he doesn't have any dream to feed the like poor people or like make this world a better place, which is trying. I mean, with his electric cars and all this kind of things. But then we get like so much of like, see, I mean, he just bought Twitter. Because like things didn't happen according to him. Now he just bought the Twitter so that he can make things happen, like that. So we go like crazy. I mean, we go like, I mean, mad. I mean, start like we do. I mean, start to do. I mean, so many things, right? And then finally comes like envy. Now envy is like the most dangerous among the six, because you're never satisfied. You're never satisfied. You don't care about like how much you have. You care about what does the neighbor have, what does the next person have, I mean, doing. So envy, and there is another term called competition. Envy and competition, which are like completely different. Envy means in any cost I have to win, be it my hard work, or let it be, I mean, let me pull him down, by his degradation. Also, if I'm like proof that I'm ahead, I'm happy. That's envy. But competition is like better, it's more positive. Competition is, I have nothing to do with that person. Means I don't interfere any way to that person. But then, I also advise. Now I'll tell you one good example. Like I never read books in my life. The first book I finished in my life is Bhagavad Gita. Because in my young age I used to watch movies and all these kind of things. But I would never read any novel, or luckily, because my friends used to do that. I would say luckily, because if I read novels, like my mind will be like like disturbed. I mean, brainwashed. So that was the first book. And how did I read it? Well, I'm very lazy when I'm reading books, so I came to Krishna consciousness and then start reading Bhagavad Gita. So for 2 years, I finished 6 chapters, first 6 chapters. It took me 2 years. I was reading sometimes, not reading, but then I started preaching. So from my preaching, one of my cousin became devotee. Very close to me, he became devotee. So one day I was sitting with him, thinking that I'm senior to him, and then I was telling him, Brijesh, we need to read. We need to read. It's very important. And I was like telling him how important it is to read. I mean, we generally do this. We don't do practice ourselves, and then we like to give classes. Blah. So I was explaining him the importance of reading, which I was not doing. And then in the middle of the conversation, he stopped me and said, "Brother, I'd like to confess one thing." What? He said, "I've already finished reading Bhagavad Gita. Such a wonderful, it's so wonderful." And I was thinking, my God, he became devotee later than me, and then he finished Bhagavad Gita, and then I've just done like 6 chapters. What is this? So I didn't speak out. I didn't speak out anything. In my heart, I thought like, okay, if someone who is like who joined Krishna consciousness after me could finish Bhagavad Gita, I have to finish before, and then I have to find out what he's reading, and then go ahead than him, or else like it's insult for me, So then I started like reading Bhagavad Gita like anything, like in a rocket speed, So I finished Bhagavad Gita, and in another 6 months, remaining 12 chapters, then I started like Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and each time I used to go to him, Brijesh, which canto, which chapter? I used to ask him, as if I'm checking like if he's reading or not. Are you reading? Which canto? Which chapter? And he would say, Canto 1, chapter 17. Chapter 17. I'm just in chapter 3. Oh my God. So of course, like that was competition. That was not envy. Because my reading of Bhagavad Gita or like books, didn't affect him. in a negative way, you know. Rather, it helped him in a positive, because I was checking him, and I was checking him. And at one point, I think it was something like Canto 7 or Canto 8, I went ahead than him. And then, of course, like I felt bad. I felt good. Of course, that was within me. That was within me. He never, even till today, he doesn't know that I'm competing with him in reading and all these kind of things. But then, of course, like nowadays, I don't have anything to do with, you know, like him reading and all. But that's how I got inspiration to read. That's more like a competition. But envy is something like, okay, if I'm not reading, I'll not let him read also. No, so that's envy. Envy means like somehow, I mean, do or die. I mean, I have to go ahead than this person. I have to do things better, right? Now, and another form of envy, I mean, which is seen among the devotees. You know, even though we are practicing Krishna consciousness, among the devotees is, you know, I'm doing devotional service, and when I see somebody else doing better devotional service, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. You know? And then not only that, we start like making groupism. Oh, he's not my man. You know, we are Prabhupads, and then these people are, I don't know what kind of Vaishnavas they are. Like, oh, Sri Vaishnav, oh, just Lakshmi Narayan, you know. We are like Radha Krishna and all this kind of feeling. That's also envy. It's very dangerous, actually. You know, so even in Krishna consciousness, we do have lots of envy because we are not 100% pure. We are not like free of like these anarthas. You know, so we have lots of envy, and on the other hand, there is like low self-esteem, and now low self-esteem is also the product of envy. It's also the product of envy in a like more I mean self-damaging way, you know. So it's not necessarily seen low self-esteem, but it happens inside. I mean, you get demoralized, you know, yourself. You get demoralized. So in the same example of Brijesh and me reading books, if I come to know that this person to whom I preach is reading, I mean, going beyond in bhakti, going beyond me, you know, in low self-esteem, what happens is like, you know, if he goes ahead, then, oh, I'm useless guy, you know, like somebody who joined later than me, you know, went ahead. No, I'm useless. I'm not going to do anything. You know, all these kind of things. You know, all this kind of feeling comes. But in my case, you know, it's a healthy competition, because I'm competing with him without him knowing anything. You know, it's a competition. It's not low self-esteem, because if it is low self-esteem, oh, somebody like junior is like going ahead, then yeah, I'm a useless piece of like, I mean, insignificant. So, you know, all this kind of thing. So that's low self-esteem. It's also like envy. And in envy, we tend to like harm the opponent. In low self-esteem, we tend to harm ourselves. Yeah, that we can say. But it's the same form. The root is envy. You know, the root is envy. So where this envy comes from? It comes from the mind. What kind of mind? Rajasa mind. You know, Rajasa mind. So when the mind goes to Rajagun, now Rajagun, the nature of Rajagun is it's like lots of competition, you know, ambitious, you know, agitation, restlessness. These are the qualities of like Rajagun. So mind possesses the qualities of the Rajagun, right? And then the mind becomes like Rajagun. So the whole point, the whole game is about like how to make the mind Sattvagun. No, mind has to be peaceful. Intelligence has to be like restless, because intelligence is the thing which can decide what is right and what is wrong, what is truth and what is not. Right. So intelligence is supposed to be very powerful, active, ambitious. No, it's the intelligence which makes you think that we have to go back to God. Yeah, I have to become pure. I have to serve Krishna. That's the intelligence. It's only intelligence. That's why, using intelligence, we have to do Krishna consciousness. That's why Krishna says, Buddhi Yoga, no, is the synonym of Bhakti Yoga. So in Bhakti, we use like Buddhi, right? That's also Srila Prabhupada says, independently thoughtful. Every devotee has to be independently thoughtful. No, independent means not listening to authority. Independent means like I'm responsible for myself. No, and thoughtful, we have to use our brain. We have to use our intelligence. No, and not just do bhakti blindly or just whimsically. We have to use intelligence. It's a very systematic thing. That's why Rupa Goswami, he gave Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained in Madhurya Kadambini the nine levels of bhakti, 9 stages of bhakti. Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivriti, Nistha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem. No, these are the things very systematically it goes ahead. It goes on and on, this bhakti. Okay, so this envy and then low self-esteem, these are the product of material world. This is not the tool or anything which can be used in bhakti. Well, I have read in few places that among the 6 anarthas, 5 can be used in bhakti. Lust, anger, greed. No, this can be used in bhakti. Even attachment or madness can be used in bhakti. Prabhupada used to say that if we want to go back to Godhead, we have to be somehow crazy for Krishna, crazy. We have to show our craziness to Krishna, right? Now and then envy, but envy we cannot. Envy we cannot use in Krishna's service. We cannot be envious with devotees. No, we can compete with devotees. We can learn from them, but we cannot use envy against the devotees. So this envy is kind of a very dangerous element. Now and many people they ask how to get rid of envy, or these 6 anarthas. Then it's been 18 years I've been practicing Krishna consciousness, and in my experience, to try to avoid these demerits, bad qualities, and to develop good qualities, we cannot do it by ourselves. It's not okay, let me practice tolerance. Okay, 1 month tolerance month. It doesn't come like that. It's a very natural process, and many things is based on our karma, right? So how to develop? The best way is to practice Krishna consciousness. When we do devotional service, when we chant Krishna's name, when we become engaged in lots of devotional service, Krishna is going to provide you with all these good qualities automatically. In Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 12, chapter 13, and chapter 16, Krishna talks about so many good qualities, which is famous, 26 qualities we say. He repeats 3 times these qualities. And then Prabhupada in his purport, he mentions that all these qualities will be developed by practice of Krishna consciousness, by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So okay, so thank you very much. So I think we have some time now. You can, if you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So before the question answer, devotees can definitely raise your hand, or you can ask question on the chat. So before we start question, I just wanted to share and give some updates. So as we have this Sunday program, we have His Grace Brahma Prabhu, who is going to speak on developing faith like Prahlad Maharaj in our center. Please do not miss that. It's a very wonderful opportunity. Maharaj is from London. Prabhuji is from London, who is coming, visiting over here for to our center and speaking this wonderful topic as Nishim Sadhus is coming. And as we know that every morning we have chanting, devotee can join 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. They can join the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every morning. Anytime you can join, and anytime you can drop. And also we have weekly Bhakti Vrikshas. So any devotees, any family or somebody in multiple locations we have devotee hosting Bhakti Vikshas. So definitely this is opportunity to come together as a family environment and join, and connect. So you can connect here, join with us. And every Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. to 12:15 p.m. There's a Bhagavad Gita reading, so devotee can join that. And every Wednesday again we have Wednesday Sangha. So thank you, Rupesvara Prabhu, for your time.
Thank you.
So any devotees have any questions? Or
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for the nice class, Prabhuji. I very much relished your previous class also on our forum. Thank you very much for coming on again. So Prabhuji, one question was, so you mentioned how intelligence, the natural state of intelligence is for it to be situated in the mode of passion. Is there any reason why it's not mode of goodness and why it's natural in passion? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji. So yeah, many people ask like this because we consider like Sattvagun is the best, right? So intelligence, if it goes to Sattvagun in mode of goodness, then mode of goodness has doesn't have much activity. In mode of goodness, also you become like you slow down. You would not want to like make much effort for anything, So, but we being in this material world, like for many lifetimes, we have so much to do, so much hard work to do. I mean, to go back to God, So, can you imagine like if there are like so many opportunities for devotional service, you must have like noticed lots of devotees, and they become Satoguni. I'm a Brahmin. Well, I give classes. I don't want to like wipe out the floors. That's for the junior devotees, this and that. Yeah. So this is what happens when the intelligence become like Satoguni. Now, Prabhupada gives a very good example of like when the intelligence becomes Satoguni, we become Jnani. So in ISKCON also, I've like seen so many devotees, they become Jnani. And what is the difference between Jnani and Bhakta? Bhakta is ready to do anything required for Krishna, anything. So that's why Vaishnavas are also called Daksha. Daksha means like, yes, you are expert in one thing, two things, but you are ready to do anything. You are like, ready to learn and do anything, which is required for Krishna consciousness, So this is, and devotees supposed to be Sattaguni. So this is the general term we use. Devotee is supposed to be Sattaguni means the mind of the devotee is supposed to be Sattaguni, but the intelligence has to be Rajaguni. We have to be always active in devotional service, always active, and only because of like intelligence in Rajagun we can become active in devotional service. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Prabhu. So that's also, I guess, one defect of mode of goodness is that if your intelligence becomes too complacent in mode of goodness, then you can again fall back to ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Draupadi Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Very nice class, Prabhuji. So many points. I have a question, like as you said, like Bhagavad Gita is full of like knowledge, and so we read, we understand. I will say for myself, like. But when it comes in the application, why I'm not able to apply it?
That's true. Jai Mataji, very true. Like we read like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita is like anything, but when it comes to real life, we lag behind. We cannot like really do according to what they say. You know, because it's the same thing again. I mean, because our intelligence is sleeping, I mean, it takes time. Prabhupada says bhakti is a gradual process. It's a gradual process. And also Krishna also says, apichet suduracharo. You know, he uses all these kind of slokas, you know. Why? Because he knows, I mean, in the course of like, I mean, doing devotional service, we will do so many nonsense, so many things, because we are still accustomed, you know, we are still like, I mean, trapped in this material world with our karmas and all. Now, if you see Bhakti Vinod Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini, he gives the commentary. Like in this 9 stages, Bhakti Vinod Thakur would categorize it into three major categories. Bhakti into 3, having these 9 stages. One is like Anisthita Bhakti, Nisthita Bhakti, and Shuddha Bhakti. Right? Anisthita Bhakti consists of 4 stages: Shraddha, Sadhusang, Bhajan Kriya, and Anartha Nivritti. Nisthita Bhakti has these 2, Nishtha and Ruchi. And Shuddha Bhakti has Ashakti, Bhav, and Prem. Now, in Anisthita Bhakti is practiced by Kanishtadikari, like us. And Nisthita Bhakti is practiced by Madhyamadikari. And like people like Prabhupada would practice Shuddha Bhakti, right? The Uttamadikari. So when I read that book, of course, like Patri Prabhu, he told me not to read that book. but I said, oh, Prabhuji, it's like 9 stages. You have been telling us this since the beginning. So I just wanted to know in detail. I heard from Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj, so it was so beautiful. Oh, let me read, Prabhuji. And he said, okay, read it. So when I read that Madhurya Kadambini, which is like not a thick book, it's like a very thin book, which I finished in 1 day, you know, then I got a fever. I had a fever after reading that book, because I was like, I went into depression. I realized how low I am, and then so much far away is Krishna, you know. I became completely discouraged. You know why? Because I realized that I'm still Kanishta. I thought I was in Nishta, because I left my job, I left everything, I became full-time in Krishna consciousness. So I thought that is Nishta. Oh Bapre, I mean, there is nothing else than in my life than Krishna. So I thought I was in Nishta. But then when I saw the symptoms of like Anisthita Bhakti, which Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives, he says 16 symptoms of Anisthita Bhakti. He says like Utsamai. Utsamai means like our enthusiasm is momentary. You know, it comes in a while and then disappears. You know, in the beginning, when we join Krishna consciousness, we feel like, oh, we'll make the whole world like Krishna conscious. Then eventually, you know, when we practice Krishna, it's very difficult to make myself devotee, what to talk about the whole world. So we become discouraged, you know, Utsamai. Then the second is, you know, Ghanatarala. Ghanatarala means like, you know, sometimes our bhakti is so dense, so pure, so nice. I want to chant, and then for a few months, you know, I don't even like to put my hand in the beads, you know, like that. You know, so it's like up and down, up and down, up and down, like sine curve, you know, sine curve. It's going ups and down, ups and down. And third one is like Vyuda Vikalpa. Vyuda Vikalpa means indecisive. Like you said, we have read Shastra, we know Krishna is supreme. And then we know this life is useless. We already know it theoretically. But then practically, we have still so much of attachment and this and that. You know, and then indecisive, you know, should I give my property to ISKCON or should I not? You know, like that. And you know, my father-in-law, he's been initiated by Jayapataka Swami for the last 40 years. And he doesn't give much, you know, donation. You know, so of course, like he has given his life, he has done lots of preaching, but when it comes to donation, he doesn't. You know, so me and my wife, you know, and then we were like trying to convince him, you know, you should give donation. You're a rich man, you should give donation to ISKCON. You're gonna, you know, and so that lots of preaching can happen. And it became very difficult for him to give, you know. But finally, he gave. Last time he gave like a land worth of 10 crores, you know. So definitely, you know, it takes time. I mean, it takes time because he becomes very indecisive, you know. We already know Krishna is everything. We already know. But then to make a proper decision towards Krishna, it's like very difficult. That's called Vyuda Vikalpa. Then next comes is like a Niyamakshama. Niyamakshama is like, yeah, we take sankalpa, we make rules in our life, and we fail, and then we forgive ourselves. Oh, from tomorrow I'll chant 64 rounds, So we do it for 2-3 days, and then some wedding comes, or like some exam comes, or some urgent situation comes where we are not able to fulfill that. I say, okay, who has done 64 rounds? Come on, we are in Kali Yuga, we are Kali Yuga case, Prabhu. All these like statements, you remember? Prabhu, this is Kali Yuga, I'm in Maya, Prabhu. I'm not a pure devotee, okay? And all these kind of statements, we make, because we are giving excuse to ourselves, And then most dangerous is like when I'm not able to do something, I said, Prabhu, you are also not pure devotee, okay? we become like very happy, like seeing others are also not pure, So like this is Niyamakshama. And then the fifth one is even more dangerous, is like Vishaya Sangara. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Vishaya Sangara. Vishaya means like sense enjoyment, sense gratification. And Sangara means like we are struggling against our sense gratification. Why? Because we have been doing sense gratification since many lifetimes. It has become our habit. Built-in habit, by default, we possess so many like bad qualities, which we cannot avoid it. We know this is wrong, and still yet we're doing it because of our bad habit. So Visaya Sangara. So we are struggling against our sense gratification, struggling. Right? And then the final one is beautiful name, but most dangerous. Tarangarangini. It's called Tarangarangini. Sounds so nice, no? Tarangarangini. It's such a beautiful name, but then the most dangerous, why? Because see, by doing bhakti, we are getting so much of like punya. It's such auspicious. No? Even we say Hare Krishna one time, it's like more powerful than doing thousands of Ashwamedh Yagya. Can you imagine how much like punya we have collected? And we are using that punya to buy motorbike, material opulences, So you to use like Krishna's like blessings for material enjoyment. Now one of the gross example I can give is like I'm temple president in Kathmandu, and with my one finger, Prabhu, do this, do that, and things happens, So I might sit in my office and think like, wow, I'm powerful. Then people come and say, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, okay, blessings. Good. You keep bowing down to me, It's like that story of like a donkey. One time like when Krishna's picture was put on the donkey and then made the donkey go around the city. And everyone is bowing down, and donkey thinks that, wow, I'm so famous. Everyone is bowing down to me. So like that. Tarangarangini is like when we try to use Krishna for our own benefit, which is possible. See, when we come to Krishna consciousness, people give us so many things, mobile phone, laptops, and then they give us the best facilities, and then once in a while I feel that I deserve it. This is Tarangarangini, which is the most dangerous, right? So this is how we are like entrapped, in this material world, in spite of we reading so much of like philosophy books, listening to so many classes, we end up like, being still attached, but this is our level. This is our level. So what to do? Keep on reading, keep on chanting, and slowly, gradually, we are improving. And how do we know we are improving? Many times, sometimes, I wouldn't say many times, sometimes you have to go to your friends, karmi friends, relatives, and then be with them, and then you will see how advanced you are, how detached you are. But if you always remain among the devotees, you'll always be discouraged, because they are always advanced than you. But sometimes you have to go to your karmi friends and relatives, they will show you how advanced you are. Okay, so we are advancing. Prabhupada says like we are gradually advancing. So please do not worry. Keep on reading books. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
So there is one question saying that, like, please advise a tip on how to remember what we read. Sometimes when we read, we understand and we forget the technical part after some time. So
Yeah.
how to memorize that? Yeah, remember it.
Memorization doesn't come to all the devotees, all the people. It's also by karma that if you are like Brahminical, then you tend to like remember so many things. But then more important than remembering is like realizing. That's more important, because if you realize, you'll remember. Right? And then most of the times, like we read Shastra, there are so many wonderful things, you know. We want to remember slokas and even meaning translations, you know, points, statements, you know, by Srila Prabhupada and all. We like to remember, but we are not remembering means that is not designed for us. And I'm not to that level. You know, like most of the times, like I see devotees, they want to become advanced very quickly, and we are like hurried to become a pure devotee. But then we have so much karma left. We have so much to, you know, practice, go through, you know, good and bad karmas, you know, and then it takes time. It takes time, you know. So we just have to wait. We just have to wait, and then give us some time. I mean, to improve.
So one question is there in the chat. Like I know that I should engage more and more in Krishna consciousness and help others and introduce others in Krishna consciousness. But my mind also pulls me to think about myself and my family first and enjoy life. Deep down, I know my mind is tricking me, but still I'm not able to overcome it. What should I do?
Yeah, it's the mind. It's the rascal mind. So good mind. Krishna says good mind is the controlled mind. No, when Krishna says this asamshayam mahabhav, manodurnigraham chalam. So when Krishna says, Arjun says like, okay, mind is restless and useless, and then all. Krishna says, yes, you are true. You're right. Mahabhav means like such a powerful man. Yes, you're right. You cannot even control your mind, because mind is like very difficult to be controlled. But by practice and by detachment, no, avyasena kunteya vairagyena chakriyate. No, by two things. By practice and by vairagya. So by practice and by vairagya, what Krishna means by that? By what practice? Mind control practice means we have to do all the activities in our life to improve our intelligence, sharpen our intelligence, awaken, you know, the sleeping intelligence, like this tamoguni intelligence, you know, it's sleeping, and then we have to wake up. Hey, intelligence, wake up, wake up. And when the intelligence wakes up, you know, then it naturally controls the mind. You know, but our intelligence is sleeping, so mind is hero now. Mind acts like intelligence, you know. Many times mind speaks like intelligence, acts like intelligence, and then thinks that, oh Prabhu, this is like so wonderful, this is, you are right, do it. You know, you're supposed to eat ice cream because it's so hot, and anyway you're going to offer it, no? Now all these kind of things, like, you know, all these like stupid, I mean, reasoning the mind gives. Whereas like intelligence knows, when your intelligence is awakened, you know, like for example in the level of like ruchi, you know, in the level of ruchi, nishta is like when you are determined, you know, fixed in Krishna. But in ruchi, from the level of ruchi, you are like not interested in anything which is not Krishna conscious. Now if somebody offers you food which is not offered to Krishna, no, then that's equivalent to poison for you. That food is equivalent to poison. You know, so this is how you know, like the intelligence, sharpen intelligence. So by I was like reading Shastra, and then Prabhupada text stays there that the reason why we are supposed to be so good in philosophy is because philosophy is the thing which sharpens our intelligence. So I was reading like our acharyas like commentaries and different books. There they explain the army of Atma is Chaitana. No, the Atma spreads Chaitana all over and conquers everything. You know, Chaitana. Our body becomes like Chaitan seal. Our body becomes like conscious, spreading the conscious. Atma spreads the conscious. Intelligence spreads the vivek, buddhi and vivek. intelligence and intellect. Intellect is the army of intelligence, and desire is the army of mind. The more desire you have, more powerful the mind is. More vivek you have, more powerful is like intelligence. So by learning philosophy, by reading books, by listening to these classes and learning all this like theories and all, your intelligence becomes powerful. You have lots of vivek. Each and every siddhanta, every philosophy gives vivek. It increases your vivek, intellect. Then, and can you imagine, you have like 1,000 desires and you have only 10 vivek. Of course, you are outnumbered. The vivek is outnumbered, and then the mind wins. Hey, come on, let's go and enjoy. Like many times, like I hear from youth, young devotees, they say, Prabhu, this time we didn't have fun doing devotional service. I said, come on, man. I mean, you're not supposed to enjoy. It's Krishna. Krishna is supposed to enjoy. It's Guru who is supposed to be happy, not us. But then most of us, we say, we had a good time today, doing devotional service. This kind of statements, it's like we are doing devotional service, but we are in mental platform. Many times we would come, Prabhu, please pray for my parents. What about the rest of the world? Well, it's good if they become devotee, but my parents, they have to become devotee. So it's like mine, which is acting like an intelligence. Whereas proper intelligence would say, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole world, whole living entity is the children of like Krishna, and everyone's supposed to go back to Godhead. So this is how we are like supposed to, understand. So by learning philosophy, yes, we are like increasing our like intellect, and one day our desires, our mind will be complete. So, sorry, Prabhuji, it's started raining here. I'm in the balcony. I'll go down. So yeah, is there any other question?
So we'll take one last question though from Gail Mataji. Gail Mataji, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, a couple things. One is
chair. Sorry, Mataji.
No problem. Yeah, so as you've been saying, this is Srila Prabhupada says this is a gradual process, until we come to Nishta. Then one might ask, this gradual process can go on forever, eternally, So my question is it not more a question of determination? Because if determination is, as Prabhupada also says, this very moment we can decide to become fully Krishna conscious. It's a matter of choosing, the intelligence over the mind. It sounds like determination to me. So is it not a question of determination rather than, otherwise, this gradual process could go on eternally, actually.
True, Gail Mataji. Yeah, put it like very nicely. It's true. If we are not careful, or if we are not determined like very nicely, then we can eternally be in this material world, like doing bhakti gradually. Yeah, true. So gradual also has a definition. Now, gradual, as soon as Prabhupada says gradual, and then we take that word and then excuse ourselves, we can also ask ourselves that how gradual, how slow, or how fast. So gradual can also mean like in 3 lifetimes, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. We are very fortunate if we go back to Godhead in 3 lifetimes. We are very fortunate, like Ajamil, like Bharat Maharaj. There are so many examples, like Narad Muni. They had to reincarnate their selves. And we can do that also. But then Prabhupada says, do not waste time. In 1 lifetime, he wanted us to go back to Godhead in 1 lifetime, because the dangerous part is, in next lifetime we don't know. We don't know what will happen to us, you know. We might not be fortunate as Bharat Maharaj or Ajamil, that, or like Jagai Madai, you know, that we will be realized, and then we will dedicate our life fully in Krishna consciousness. It might not be the case. No, so, and at the same time, like you said, like determination, we have to understand where it comes from. You know, determination comes from mind or intelligence, or from where? From Atma. Where does it come from? Right? So determination is a product of intelligence. And again, it's the product of intelligence, which is like used over mind. Determination is used over mind. So the determined soul, which you call determined person, is that person whose intelligence is working full-fledged. So by reading more books, by practicing, you know, bhakti, by chanting holy name, you know, what we are doing is we are like sharpening our intelligence, and that intelligence becomes more determined. So it's the nistha. Nistha stays, your intelligence is working very, very high level. You know, very high level, 90%, 95% intelligence is using. Well, remaining 5% is there because like lots of anarthas are still left. Whereas in anartha nibriti stays, 95% of the anarthas are destroyed. No, when you come to nistha, there are like still some anarthas like left. So, but you have lots of nistha. You know, lots of like intelligence is there. That's why in the level of nistha, you're like very well determined. I have heard, like, I mean, from few senior devotees that there are like ways to do bhakti. Now, one of the group would say that let the process work. Srila Prabhupada gave us 16 rounds chanting, 4 regulative principles, and devotional service. You know, so let's do that, and then things will work. That is one group of devotees would say that. Other group of devotees say that okay, let the thing work, but at the same time we can speed up bhakti by developing our character. You know, so by developing our character means by sharpening our intelligence. You know, we cannot just like, I mean, depend on these processes because we are like adami. You know, we are like very, very fallen, very, very fallen. So in spite of we knowing that we have to chant 16 rounds and then follow 4 regulative principles, many times we fail. Even those devotees who are sincerely doing it fails because our character is loose character. You know? We have like very bad, I mean, sanskars, very bad sanskars. So we have to, additionally, we have to be dharmic also. I mean, purify ourselves in a very low level, I mean, in a gross level also. So these are also the views of like some of the devotees, and it works. It works. One of the senior devotee very nicely stated when she came to Nepal that bhakti lata bees, it's a seed. Bhakti lata, bhakti creeper, you know, it comes from a seed. The gurus sow the seed in your heart, but that seed has to grow, and the seed grows best in a good soil, right? If there is good soil, the seed goes fastest, best. So what is that good soil for Bhakti Lata bees? No, Bhakti is creeper seed is the detachment from this material world. And now when you are detached from this material world, then your Bhakti Lata bees is like very healthily it grows. You know, it gets lots of like support. Whereas we can be attached to this material world and yet practice bhakti, possible. And because bhakti is beyond this material like realm. So even though you are attached or you are like, I mean, breaking 4 regulative principles, you can still practice bhakti. But then your advancement in bhakti becomes slow because like what you said, determination and all this kind of, this becomes like very weak. Right? So at the same time, we have to try to become Vedic. By being Vedic, we are like developing our character, you know, like all these like determinations and truthfulness and all these kind of qualities are developed by Vedic practice. Whereas bhakti is the most powerful, but because like we are so much, I mean, entangled in this material world, I mean, and also like it also there is a rule that anything which supports bhakti is bhakti. So even we practice like Vedic principles so that we can do better bhakti becomes bhakti. So in that way, I think we have to grab all the opportunities. Like, I'll give you example of like Vishmadev. Vishmadev is a pure devotee, and he chose to serve Krishna by being the enemy. So make like this Mahabharata happen because Krishna wanted it. So Vishmadev, even though he became a pure devotee, he was thinking, what if at the end I'm not Krishna conscious? I don't like get to remember Krishna. What will be, what did my situation become? So he was worried. So he chose Makar Sankranti. Makar Sankranti is the day where the sun changes the track from south to north. It changes the track, and it's a very auspicious, very powerful day. In the Tithi, according to Tithi, is a very, very powerful day. So Vishmadev chose to leave the body on that day, because if by chance, if I don't remember Krishna at the end, at least this day will help me promote myself. So Vishmadev and everybody, in the history, they are like choosing these Vedic principles, according to Vedic system, so that not to take any chance. So well, Krishna's kripa is there, but then it depends on Krishna when to give it, when to provide it. So I can see many devotees like, depending on Krishna kripa, which is like very true. Without that, we cannot go back to Godhead. But at the same time, why would Krishna give us kripa? That also we need to know. We have to make Krishna feel, that we need it. We need it. So we have to also like make. So that's why we have to work. Take all the opportunities. What will make my Krishna consciousness better, or what will make me determine better. Where does the determination comes from? So I was like, I was also like, when I didn't know about all these things, I was also like kind of fully dependent, without doing much. So I was kind of a lazy bum, not doing much devotional service, but always going, folding my hands and praying to Krishna. Whereas then I realized that, God helps them who helps themselves, So we have to understand our level, and then we have to be more submissive. We have to learn all these techniques, try our best, sadhana siddha and kripa siddha. So we have to do sadhana to make Krishna believe that yes, we really want to go back to Godhead. No, I think that's the best I can say. Yal Mataji.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and I think, I guess it kind of answers the other question I was going to ask, which is referring to that Gita verse that says that, is by, even though the mind is so strong, it is only by practice and detachment.
That's true.
That we can progress. But the kind of catch-22 is that in order to practice, right, you already have to have some kind of detachment, But to get detachment, you have to practice. So it's like a kind of
Which
how's
first?
it gonna really work,
Yeah.
For example, in order to chant, right, you have to control the raging wind of a mind,
Yeah.
But to say, so if I could do that, then I could, chant nicely.
Yeah.
Because you're saying
Which first? Yeah, egg or the
yeah,
chicken?
exactly.
Like that.
Exactly. So how do you answer that?
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. Definitely, it's
Yeah.
true. But then it works side by side. It works side by side. So by chanting, you will get better determination, and by better determination, you can chant better. So it works side by side. So, but where does it start? It starts from faith, Shraddha, no? A little bit of Shraddha, and Krishna enhances that in the beginning. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada would go to America, meet the hippies, and then say, okay, Krishna consciousness means feasting, all the time feasting. You eat chapatis, you eat like anything you want, And then after 6 months, and Prabhupada comes and scolds them, you know, why are you eating so much? And then Prabhupada said, you said feasting. That's for the new devotees. Now you are a senior devotee, you know, you need to fast. Right? So in the beginning, you are like concession, you know, you are like, Krishna does the same thing to us. But at the end, yes, we have to practice vairagya. We have to practice like lots of detachment and then determination. We have to practice. It's not going to come that easily, you know. Right? For example, like I mean, this in Kripa Siddha, Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he gives like few examples of like Sukadev Goswami, then Putana, and then Dvijapatni, the wives of the Brahmanas. You know, these three examples Rupa Goswami gives, and then there he quotes like Narad Muni saying to Sukadev Goswami that, hey Sukadev Goswami, in your previous life you were like parrot, not even human being, and you would not understand in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Lord Shiva, and you just happen to imitate like Lord Parvati saying yes, 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 and then she slept, and then you listen, and then in next life you became, I mean, the son of Vyasadeva, you know, and then you didn't even have guru, you didn't do any sadhana, you know, you're not initiated, or you didn't go into any process of sadhana. No, nothing, you did nothing. And yet you become a pure devotee. How is it possible? So that's the pure example of like Kripa Siddha. Another example is Putana. Putana was like sent by Kamsa to kill Krishna. And for one moment, one small fraction of moment, Putana, when she lifted Krishna for him to suck her breast, you know, she had a pure feeling that, wow, what a beautiful child. I wish he is my son. That's just one pure feeling. I mean, that one moment, you know, and Krishna enhanced that moment like anything, and immediately he sent her to Goloka Vrindavan. You know, like to become like, I mean, the mother, I mean, Dai mother, you know, like maid servant. And then another example is Dvijapatni. Dvijapatni, by hearing like glorification of Krishna through gopis, you know, when they come for like this selling milk in the morning, they would listen. This Brahman Patnis, you know, like they served like Krishna and Balaram. I mean, without, I mean, any kind of like qualification. So these are like pure, I mean, example of sadhan, what you call Kripa Siddha. Kripa Siddha. But Prabhupada says, don't wait for Kripa, because we don't know when it's going to come. I mean, Putana got it, but when we are going to get that Kripa, we don't know. So just don't depend on Kripa. I mean, we have to also like make sadhana, endeavor, you know, at the same time. And then the example of endeavor, one who got like Krishna by endeavoring, is Markandeya Muni. He gives the example of Markandeya Muni, who by birth, like, I mean, he was like practicing bhakti like anything, by rules and regulations, and then vidhi and all this kind of things, and he perfected it. So Krishna, he pleased Krishna by his endeavor. So we are like both, you know. Prabhupada gave us like both techniques, you know. One sadhan siddha and another is kripa siddha, you know, both. So but basically Prabhupada says that we are doing our sadhana so that we can attract kripa. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess to avoid being oppressed by our bad samskaras, we just have to just try as best we, you know, all the various types of items of sadhana, just do this, that, and the other thing, you know, instead of otherwise our samskaras can feel so oppressive, you know.
That's true. Now, I became so relieved when I heard Srila Prabhupada said, no, you're doing lots of bad things, you know, I mean, because of your karma or whatever, you know, but as long as you are like feeling guilty, oh, I've done mistake again, I'm so bad. I mean, as long as you're feeling guilty, you're in the right track. Prabhupada said that. But the moment you don't feel guilty or like you think it's
You're in
okay,
trouble.
then you're in trouble. Yeah. So I felt so much relieved because most of the time when I do, I mean, commit like offenses and then do so many sins, you know, yeah, I feel guilty. I feel so low. I feel like myself. I feel like killing myself and beating myself, you know. And then I go and confess in front of devotees, you know, I'm such a rascal, this and that. So, but then, you know, I'm so habituated that I still commit so many things, so many sins. You know, so when Prabhupada said that, and it's true, in last 18 years, like now so many of my bad habits have gone, eventually gone. But that moment when I was like committing it, I mean, I felt like really bad, really bad. I felt so low. And I can see so many devotees, they have the bad habits and then they are not ready to give it up. They don't feel guilty and they are still in trouble. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mother.
Okay, well, pray for me, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a wonderful question and wonderful discussion. Thank you, Rupesvara Prabhu, for your wonderful
Thank you,
time.